All right, well, welcome back. I know I haven't posted anything in a while, and I'm sorry for that, but between just rust repair and sheet metal work, I figured most people don't want to watch that. I mean, I've got hours and hours of just cutting rust out and replacing it. And I had a lot going on around here too. We ended up getting a new garage door with some windows in it, let some lights in. So pretty pumped about that, and just been working a boatload of overtime because this stuff is not cheap, as you guys know if you're watching this. So I figured I'd give you an update. I do have the rear floors done and welded in. I ended up going with a piece of 4x8 16 gauge steel, and I put some grooves in it with a bead roller, and I think it's going to do the job. So I'll show you that. Super flat. You can't really see the grooves too well. There's one right there, there. Then I made these filler pieces for the sides. Got rid of the spare tire area over here. So I do need to order some more kill mat. I only have one more sheet left, and I'd like to do that wheel well. And then I've got the whole firewall in the front done. This stuff's pretty nice. I will suggest if you do it, buy all of the roller sizes. I bought what I thought was the middle one, and yeah, it was too small. So by the time I got done running my fingers across every square inch of this to make sure it stuck to the floor, my hands were pretty tore up. Along with that, I did make a glove box for this to hide the Terminator and the screen, and still be able to put, you know, anything in the glove box that you need, insurance, you know, some security items. So I'll show you guys that real quick, and then we'll move on to the firewall. I'll show you guys the firewall. But there's the glove box. It's made out of sheet metal. I didn't bolt that Terminator in there. I actually just used some Velcro, and I left right behind the computer open a little bit. That way it's easy to get the wires and the screen through it in the future. So eventually this thing's gonna have some pretty sweet gauges in it down the road, and we get a tune put on it. That way we don't even really need that screen. So it'll look all factory for the most part. And then I went ahead and painted this firewall. Well, smoothed it and painted it. Also did pour 15 on this. It's not a show paint job by any means, but it's not going to rust. It's going to be really hard to scratch. So on, so on. Have the billet reservoir for the hydraulic clutch. I did a whole bunch of looking at different setups, and all the kits didn't list anything for 67. It'd be like 66 and then jump to 68. So then I contacted a friend on Facebook and asked him what kind of clutch pedal setup he was running. He told me Malwood has a under dash hydraulics kit, bolts right into the factory locations, and no extra stuff's necessary. The slave cylinders bolted right to the pedal. There's no adjusting needed, and it worked pretty well. You just got to cut the brake pedal down, which I haven't done fully yet, but I have it out of the car. This is pretty pricey, but it saves me a lot of headaches, and this thing just bolts in. There'll be a bolt there, and then the factory through bolt for the brake pedal. But I'm gonna take this pad off, mark it off over here, try to, you know, keep this edge and cut it as much as I can. Try to make it look more stock-ish. but that's going to work really well. What else have we done? Oh, I got this billet piece off Amazon. It's 2-piece, so you can run your terminator wires through the firewall. And if I did my measurements right, that hole right there should end up right at the back of my intake. So the wires coming from the ECU should run right out, run them underneath the intake, and be hidden for the most part. I really hate seeing wires and stuff underneath the hoods, so I'm going to try to make this thing look as clean as possible. The least amount of wires being visible. Also went ahead and listened to some of you guys, and just letting you know, I made a lot of people on the internet mad about this, but we painted this block Pontiac blue, and it looks killer. I got my ICT set up on it. Ended up having to run a different water pump. I had 2 water pumps I thought were going to work. Didn't. It's truck spacing. The problem was the water inlets came up and hit the throttle body. So I seen Holly made this pump, truck spacing. Also moves the inlet over where like the factory would come out at close-ish driver's side, so I'll be able to use a stock-ish radiator for this. With that being said, I did learn, or had been told, that an LS3 pump would have worked. It's the same spacing, whatever. It is what it is. I went ahead and got an LS7 clutch for this thing, and I'll let you guys know, if you go through Rock Auto and get the Lux stuff, it's like $150 cheaper than anywhere else I found. And that comes with everything. Pressure plate, flywheel, the bolts, whatever. You just got to know what the part numbers are and look it up. So if you guys are doing anything or need an LS7 clutch, I would highly suggest hop it on Rock Auto and checking it out. So with that being said, I'm going to hopefully get this thing shoved into that car, because I have a whole bunch of parts here that need to go on this thing, and you can't finish a project if you just sit in the house all day. So we're out here. We're going to see how far we can get on this thing before I got to go do some family Christmas stuff. All right, well, since I got this thing up in the air, I figured I'd show you what the back of this car looks like with all the braces and stuff for that rear floor. And I don't think it turned out too bad. You got to keep in mind, fuel tank's going to cover up a lot of this. So this is what we got. See if I can get the light a little better. You really see those beads going down the side of the floor. I see them sealed around every one of these braces. I built the side panel over there to get rid of the spare tire area. And we're going to do something about this right here. It's got a crappy gear, needs wheel bearings, axle bearings, whatever you want to call them. Needs a different pinion to run the drive shaft that I want. So we got to do some work to this thing, and that's coming in the near future. So I'll show you the rest of the floor here while we're under here. I went ahead and painted all of the underneath this with port 15. If I could redo one thing about this car so far, it would be the trans tunnel. I hacked the crap out of this thing, but as you can tell, the transmission in there, you really can't tell. So it is what it is. And with that sound matting on the inside, you can't tell up there either. So as long as it works, it works. I still need to order the shifter and stuff and some miscellaneous other pieces, but for now, I'm gonna see if we can slam these headers in here. I did clearance this bell housing around the starter. You can see, because the header was making contact there, which is shoving it over to the frame. I also took the header, put it in my vise, and squeezed those tubes together in that section. It didn't dent it. Honestly, you can't even tell I did it. So we're gonna see if they fit any better. And then I gotta decide if I'm gonna dimple the headers around this lower control arm pocket. It's pretty tight, but I don't know, as these motor mounts wear, it might start contacting, but I guess that'd be a good indication that I need to change the motor mounts out. But I don't know, we'll see how they fit and see how I'm feeling, and we'll decide then. Alright, so I got the passenger side on, and it fits pretty good, and they got a gap between the frame now. I don't know if I can get you the transmission shot. There's a gap there now too, so I'm thinking what was happening was there was enough on that bell housing shoving the header over, touching the frame. So squeezing that a little bit worked pretty well. But for some reason, driver's side is now touching both tubes again. I don't know. So I went ahead and marked them, and we're going to take the old school way of a ball peen hammer and putting some dents in them. Alright, so I got a ball peen, and I got roughly marked where this thing needs dented at, so start beating the crap out of these brand new headers. And not too bad. Hopefully that's enough to clearance them. Probably should have heated them up, but I don't have any torches, so just takes a little bit of finessing. Let's get this thing slammed back in there, see if it fits. Alright, so denting these two header tubes definitely helped out. I probably should have dented this one a little more. It is clearing by a decent amount, but this one's clearing a lot better now too. Clearancing this bell housing around where like the starter would go definitely gave us some room up in there, and then now squeezing them tubes together, I got some room on this frame rail. Now keep in mind, these are pretty big headers. They are 1 7/8 Speed Engineer headers, so cramming a lot of tube in a tight place. So I did recognize that the driver's side tube, now that's up on the lift, looks like it's pointing downward, and it hangs below the frame a decent amount. So I might try to put the trans jack in there and see if I can bend that collector piece maybe a little more level. I don't know. When we get to the exhaust, I'll worry about that. So plenty of room though to run the quick bleed line. I'm gonna have to get some clamps or whatever, and run it through there and up the firewall, hide it behind the fender well. So Pretty excited about that. Now, gonna go ahead and put this thing down. I want to put the valley plate on it and throw the intake on it because I can't wait to see what it looks like. Alright, so on the valley pan, I went with the ICT billet. I don't know if you can see it or not. O-ringed valley plate. It'll block off all these passageways and whatnot. That hole where that's gonna go right where it needs to be. So that'll look sweet. Come straight out and go underneath the back of that intake. Pretty pumped about that. I'm pretty pumped about this whole thing. This thing looks killer. I love how it turned out. You don't see much of the paint color, but where you do, it does pop. I'm sure it'll look even better once the inner fenders and everything's bolted on. But man, that blue pops with that black. Man, thing looks good. Still be able to run the factory GTO hood. Well, not the wagon's factory hood, but a factory GTO hood. Them headers are just huge. Alright, I gotta set this thing down. I gotta see what it looks like on the ground. Baboo, what are you doing, dude? Oh, yeah. Yep. Man, that looks killer. Heck yeah. Well, that's going to be the end of this video. So, thanks for watching. Sorry it took forever, but now we're starting to get to some stuff where it's kind of fun. So, I'll be posting some more. Thank you for watching, and hope you had a good Christmas.